Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad you're here with me. Today, it's the day after Thanksgiving, and it was a great holiday yesterday. My family came over, and it was probably one of the best holidays yet. My husband fries up a turkey, and everybody brings sides, and it was finally kind of the family. The family Thanksgiving I always wanted. I'm getting there. Oh, my friend Patty's here. I'm going to have Patty come on and join me. Any moment now. Any moment now. So anyways, it was finally a fabulous holiday for me. And, looks like Patty is not here right now. There we go. Let's try it again. Hey, Jeannie, nice to see you. I'm having my friend Patty Mason, who is a hemp expert today. She's going to be coming on, and her and I are going to be talking about detoxing. Oh, hi, Patty. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's see here. I got to get you.
You have to get me organized and centered.
Yes, that's the key. Is getting it all centered here. How are you?
I am great. You know, I practically had a nice little Norman Rockwell Thanksgiving yesterday, which was very cool for me. You know, when I grew up, there was a lot of stress in my household. You know, we had a lot going on. I had all sorts of family dynamics, and it's taken a long time, but finally we can, my family's able to have these great holidays, where I'm not freaking out that everybody's coming over. And I mean, I remember one holiday, the first time I hosted Thanksgiving, I was so mad at my mom. I'm making these potatoes and I don't know what I'm doing, and she's pushing buttons on my stove, and I'm like trying not to get really angry, and and hosting Thanksgiving, and that was a while ago. But the last 4 or 5 years, I spent a lot of time really investing in my family. And now when we come together, I'm telling you, I was just saying to my sister last night, I said, we're so lucky. We don't have all of this crazy drama that other people have around their holidays. And hey, Carol's on, and Raquel's here too. We don't have all of this crazy drama around the holidays. We can just enjoy ourselves. I think because we spent decades, not having drama. And now it's just like, oh, yes, this is wonderful. So how was your Thanksgiving, Patty?
My Thanksgiving actually went really, really well. We just moved, and so we're still in the middle of that whole process. Getting yourself acclimated to a new place, a new oven.
Oh, yeah, because they're all different temperatures. Right, you don't know.
Yes. Yeah, so and the practicing with the oven all week didn't go so well.
Oh, no, you know what? I do that too. I sit there and I take wet towels and I try to pull things out, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. What am I thinking?
Yeah, I turned off the oven cooking a pizza. Let's see, what else did I do wrong this week? So I did everything wrong. Practicing.
Yeah, I hear you.
But you know what? Everything went great. I could not have been any happier. The pumpkin pie, the turkey, everything. And I've hosted before, but this was the first time I completely did it all by myself.
Oh, wow.
Like there wasn't someone else cooking, there wasn't someone else helping with the turkey or anything like that. This was my first pumpkin pie that I baked, the first, the whole shindig. So so if you want to talk about stress and mixed in with not being familiar with, I mean, we're trying to remember where we put everything.
Right, yeah.
Too, and do we have everything? And, yeah, so, but it couldn't have been any better. It was a perfect Thanksgiving.
I am so glad. I mean, I remember, the first time I hosted, I said, I have to do this all on my own. And for me, it was ridiculous. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why? And now I've gotten back to my roots. My roots was always, it's hilarious. When I was a kid and I needed the Christmas tree decorated, because my parents would leave and say, decorate the tree while we're gone. I would invite friends over to help decorate the tree. I'm someone who's like, let's bring together community because I'm not doing all this work. Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. So now I have everybody bring something, and it's so much less stress on me, and I can just enjoy everybody's company. I'm glad it turned out well for you. So, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Other
Me
people
too.
have had a lot of drama around the holidays, and I completely know what that feels like. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's a ramping up. Years ago, I took some of the stress off of me by I don't buy people Christmas presents anymore. Instead, I want to have experiences with them. And actually, that was a stress reliever for me of, you know what, I don't have to worry about any of the present thing. I just have to focus on how we can get together and enjoy each other's company. But in your life, what are some ways that you used to, usually the day after Thanksgiving, I felt like a deflated balloon. Like I was exhausted and sick to my stomach, and my digestion was all locked up, and I hated everybody. And, don't look at me, leave me alone. And I needed a couple days in order to not do something that would land me in prison, because I'd be so like, really? I'm going to blow up your car. Yes. That's what I would be thinking and feeling inside of myself, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, just because it was so, I didn't know how to handle how I felt. So what are some of the things that, have you ever had those experiences in the holidays where you were the toxic person and you were the drama queen?
I try to avoid drama as much as possible, but you know what? Even like for example, this year it was just three of us. It was a small Thanksgiving, but the holidays, no matter who you are and what your life experience is, a major holiday is an emotional roller coaster. You factor in past experiences and past emotions that we may not have dealt with, or are still have a traumatic impact on us. And then you have the day itself. You get up in the morning and your brain is going 20 miles an hour, and did I write everything down on the list? Did I remember everything? Because am I going to be able to go to the store if I forgot something? All of those worries and anxieties. And then you start eating, and you're eating a lot of stuff that we don't normally eat every day,
like
in quantity. Right. Right, in quantities that we don't eat. And, society adds football to it. So, for those of us here in the Midwest, we had the Bears playing the Detroit Lions. This is a big, a big deal here. So we have that emotional roller coaster on top of it with the emotional eating during the game and snacking throughout the day. And then you have this giant meal, and we tried to keep it as small as possible, but still, the stuffing, the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the pie, these are all things that affect us. And last night I got done eating, and and then there's that down where not only do you have that turkey, the tryptophan from the turkey in your system now, but that exhaustion hits you from, the whole day, and that, emotional roller coaster. And so it impacts all of us in so many different ways. And for me, I believe it should be treated like a big workout, like a big event, like the first time you're going to run a 5K. You prepare for it, you train for it, you have your pre-workout, routine, your pre-workout event, pre-event routine, and then you take care of yourself during the moment, and then you have that post event workout. So, um, I made sure that a day or two before I made my list then and went through and kind of like I walked through my kitchen and was like, okay, so where do I have enough utensils for, the food? Do I have enough pots and pans to cook all this at the same time? Kind of, did a walkthrough in my kitchen. And that 5 minutes that it took me to do that, I believe was huge in regard to that day of actually, cooking the food and having everything that I needed and feeling confident in myself that I was going to be successful. And then you take care of yourself and you eat as best as you can, and taking the supplements. And we're adding in that this is a big cold and flu time of the year. So are you getting enough rest? That kind of self-care stuff. And then during the day, drinking a lot of water, keeping yourself hydrated. I for sure was, pumping CBD all day. And then today, take that time to, sleep in a little and find the things that make you feel good. Um, I believe that's why Black Friday is so successful the day after Thanksgiving, because we need something to make us feel good. And for so many of us, shopping and saving are two, and endorphin.
Endorphins.
Right, absolutely. So, but if you like, take a bubble bath, put some lavender oil in there, some Epsom salts. Take a moment to recover from the day. And I think those are the things that really help us to continue to handle and thrive during a major holiday, and then be able to continue to move forward from it.
It sounds like you have a plan of action, which is awesome, because I come from the absolute opposite end of the spectrum. The way that I'm able to handle big events like this anymore is I go the direction of making sure that I have the few basics that are going to make me feel good that I need, and then I let it all go. So for me, one of my basics is kombucha. I've gotten into this habit of, before I eat anything, before I eat any sort of a big meal, I do a couple shots of kombucha. So it's hilarious because I'm talking to my sister, and I'm talking to her significant other and my mom, and I'm all like, all right, we're doing shots of kombucha before we eat. Who wants some? And my mom's like, shot of kombucha? I don't know. I don't know if I should do that. I don't know if, and I'm like, Mom, it's kombucha. Really, it's not going to hurt you in any way, shape, or form. And so my sister and I, my sister who's a total teetotaler, we're down in shots of kombucha to make sure that we'll digest well. And so my big plan is always, everything's going to fall apart. So I'm going to make sure I have the basics like kombucha, in my existence, in my fridge, so I can do that. Another big thing that I do is, as I said, I make it community. I went from feeling like I needed to have a handle on everything to like, you know what? We're just all going to come together, and the main focus is that we enjoy each other's company. And if everything blows up in our face, that's going to be funny and interesting. And when I come in with that attitude of, hey, it's all chill, it's all okay, it's all okay, let's have a really great time, it sets a wonderful energy for everybody else. And suddenly we're not in the fight or flight, and we're able to problem solve anything that comes up, you know, and really enjoy the whole interaction of everybody working together. And I find when
Mm-hmm.
those are my two big ones, kombucha and having the community. Now, this morning, what I did is I made sure I did some good energy work. So I spent a little bit of time and I just rested my hands on my abdomen for like 25 minutes while I'm waking up. So my body could send all of that blood there, get everything moving again, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and get it active, and I could detox anything that came up emotionally, physically, and mentally. And every time something might come up for me, like, oh yeah, I'm still mad about that thing that happened 15 years ago, you know, and I can't believe they did this again. I had a really good friend of mine. She's a
Mm-hmm.
psychic, and she's a psychic online. You're gonna hear my husband doing the leaves in the background. You'll watch him drive by on the tractor. Yep, he's coming. Hang on, there he is. Perfect timing, huh? So
Yes, that's a big tractor.
it's a big tractor. We've got a big yard. We've got a lot of leaves, you know. So when I'm sitting there in the morning and stuff starts to come up, like I'm still angry about this, or I can't believe somebody did that. I have a friend who's a psychic, and she's a phone psychic, actually. I mean, what a cool job, huh? She makes her living being on the phone, earning like $8 a minute, being a phone psychic. And I was talking to her the other day, and she's like, everything that comes up is just a clearing. So every thought,
Mm-hmm.
feeling, or emotion that would come up for me, no matter what it would be, I looked at it as a clearing. I said, I'm going to be present with this. I didn't think about it. I didn't obsess about it. I just let it be. This is a clearing. This is a great clearing. I'm so glad this is clearing. I'm so glad this is coming up. And it would come up and it would disappear really fast because I didn't focus on, you know, on following that rabbit hole of who's to blame and why did it happen this way. Instead, I stayed focused on this is a clearing. I'm so glad this is a clearing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited it's a clearing. And I gave myself the space in my own head to say whatever I needed to say. So let's say on Thanksgiving, past Thanksgiving, because this one was really great. Let's say on past Thanksgiving, you do the by play afterwards, where you want to go, who said what and how did they say it and how did this turn out? A little armchair quarterbacking, and um, and I let myself let it come up, and I let me say it in my head what I would have said or I should have said, without any guilt or judgment, because your body doesn't know the difference between what you actually do and what you imagine. And so when I let myself go
Mm-hmm.
back in the moment, maybe I was nicey nice, like, oh, well, thank you very much. I'm glad you just insulted my potatoes. I at the time, I'd be nice about it. And then
Right.
later on, I'd give myself the space to clear it and to say whatever I should have said or wanted to say, because it still moves the energy. If I give myself the
Mm-hmm.
space and the time to stick up for myself, then I don't ruin the holiday, by setting strong boundaries about how I'm going to be treated and what I have a problem with, or being mad at myself for like, oh my God, I caved again. I can't believe I let them do that. Instead, I'm like, no, I'm going to do this over here tomorrow morning. I'm going to say all the things that I wanted to say in my head as if I was having that conversation. I'm going to have a little bit of that replay so that I can move the energy, I can clear the energy, and then I can move on. I think the big key is no judgment. No judgment about how you
Mm-hmm.
feel, what you think, what you're going through, because it's the judgment that gets in the way of what's going on.
Right.
So you did hemp oil all day, huh?
Yes, I did. Um, I want to say, in regard to what you were just talking about, years ago, I learned an exercise, and we did it in relation to setting goals. And being that this is coming up on the end of the year, this may help others too. But we're that taking a like when something like that comes up, that experience, that emotion, that memory, something that is going to block you from moving forward, block you from growing, hold you back, stop you, to take like an index card or a piece of paper and write it down.
Okay.
And just like what you were doing, some of us are more visual, and so write it down, and then do what you talked about. You know what, this emotion, this feeling doesn't consume me, it doesn't control me. As a matter of fact, I'm letting it go, and then lighting it on fire and letting it burn. And as it's burning, are mentally letting it go and releasing it, and it gives you that visual to go along with that mental verbal clearing. So I wanted to throw that in there because I know that has helped me many times too, to be able to release.
Right. And to have an experience of movement, because I come from the body mind point of view, you have to do something. There has to be a physical action for our bodies to clear
Mm-hmm.
it. So a lot of times if I'm in the moment, I do what I need to do to stay stable. Like you take hemp oil, and I'll take my kombucha. I'll be like, okay, we're going to do this to stay stable. And then on the other end, when it's safe, when the timing works, when I've got a little hang on, my husband's coming by again. It's like the turtle, you see it coming and you're like, all right, here it comes, there he goes.
That's funny.
I know, it's hilarious. So in the moment, I'll do what I need to do to be the higher version of myself, and then
Mm-hmm.
in my own space, in my own time, I let myself clear it, because it's not always smart to create a brouhaha in the middle of a family holiday. It's not always smart to,
Mm-hmm.
this year I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel, and it's not safe. It's not
Right.
it's not good for you, because everybody has their own high drama coming up, and because of that, you're not going to get the response you expect. Instead, you're going to walk out, somebody else is going to walk out, there's going to be pain and bad memories again. So instead, you take hemp, I take kombucha, and we go, let's get through this and detox on the opposite side. I have a question from somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody
Yes.
wants to know if I can do a talk about this subject of mental verbal clearing, because it's hard on their body to keep it all inside. So, what do you do
Mm-hmm.
either during the holidays? Let's say if you need to excuse yourself and go to the bathroom to do a clearing, or the next day. What do you do, Patty, to do a mental emotional clearing?
In the moment, and that's probably the toughest, is when you have that feeling all of a sudden in the moment. And a part of what I do is acknowledge it, and then and the acknowledging part of it is important. Acknowledging, this is how I feel, and this is how it's affecting me, but I know it isn't going to get me through the day. So if you're holding on to bitterness, that also has an impact on you internally, mentally, emotionally, physically. And so kind of saying, I'm not going to let it affect me. I'm not going to let it have an impact on me. And, moving it aside, and, if you need to do a quick, maybe some essential oils real quick. Okay, smiles on. But don't let it fester. Don't let it sit there. You do have to move it away, and if you don't fully deal with it, then you got to deal with it later.
I like to nip it in the bud as fast as possible. Like you said, you acknowledge it, you notice it as soon as it happens. Because if you wait too long to do an emotional clearing, if you wait too long, then it builds up and it becomes unmanageable. So as soon as I notice that something's
Mhm.
happening, I do something. And what I do, because I come from that physical realm, is I'll do something like take a mint. I'll I keep like watermelon mints around, and because for me it has to be something sensory. It has to be something like you said with essential oils that takes me out of my head, out of the felt sense that I have, out of feeding that. And it's just like a kid in the grocery store that's having a tantrum. You're like, hey, here's an animal cracker. So for me, it's I give my body a whole different sensation. So I'll put
Mhm.
something that's sugar free and gives me a burst of flavor, like a watermelon mint, that gets me
Mhm.
going down a different path. There's a sweet spot, I think, in clearing. If you go too far, then you're off your cliff. All bets are off. You might as well eat the Twinkie and just try to survive. You know, eh, eh,
Right.
but there's this sweet spot. Whereas if you catch it and you can course correct, and not for me, it can't just be mental. It has to be some physical thing that I do. I would be in the bathroom lighting my thing on fire. I can just see me doing that in the moment.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I try to do something sensory that gets me going down a different path, into a different thought process, I guess, because I can't just do it in my head, because my body will
Right.
hijack me, and I am right there, and there's no getting around it. Here I am. So I notice it, I catch it, and I course correct with something physical.
Yeah. I have a lot of I'm my toughest critic. I'm I get very hard on myself, and it has a lifelong impact. Um, I I've worked in my head enough that I know that it is something from when I was a child, and um, and so anytime that there is criticism and critique, and it's not presented well, I take it in very personally, and I use it to um, be hard on myself, that I'm not up to other people's standards, but what it really is I'm not up to my own standard, and so I can quickly recognize that. And I know that it's me that's being critical on myself. And I'm using the people around me and their words and their comments um, to take advantage of an opportunity to get hard on myself. And so for me, it's reminding myself of my accomplishments and my successes. And for me, a gratitude journal has been huge over the years of being thankful for what I've been through, what I've accomplished. And as a matter of fact, the about a week ago, I in my gratitude journal, I took some time and wrote down everything that I could possibly think of that I've achieved or overcome or accomplished. And it's those things, especially on a day like Thanksgiving. That's what it's about. It's about that gratitude and that thankfulness, and having that mental reminder of, hey, you know what? There's people who have it worse than me. I have been blessed with the ability to learn the things that I've learned, and I'm not a professional cook. I'm not a professional chef. I don't have a chef hat. I don't have a chef coat. I just have an apron. And so imperfection is not realistic. And I have to have that positive conversation with myself that, you know, you're the only one who's setting the standard. And if you're going to set it that high, you're making yourself fail. And that's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the people around you. Because if you tell yourself that you're not going to do it, you know you're not going to, you
Right.
know, you're more likely to not do it.
You know, a few years ago when I first started to heal, you know, my family stuff, and now, as I said, I can have Norman Rockwell holidays, which is really crazy, weird for me. But a few years ago, a friend said to me, when your family comes over, you want them to feel like they're an honored guest. Because I had a lot of tension with my dad. You know, there was always this stress. My sister and I were scared of him. He's going to say something mean. We're going to get our feelings hurt. My mom's going to try to compensate. And the whole pattern's going to start all over. And they said, do something that will make your father feel like he is an honored, welcome guest in your home. So, you know, I thought about what would make my dad feel that way. And a few years ago, I started to get him shrimp cocktail because that was his absolute positive favorite thing in the whole like universe that he'd never get for himself. And so I started to buy shrimp cocktail for him, and it was just for him because nobody else ate it. And, you know, we'd present it to him, and it would shift his energy so much that then he could show up and he'd be there and he was happy and we were all happy too. Over the years, because now he's trying to lose some weight, so we didn't get him shrimp cocktail this year. But over the years, because people started to have that positive experience of welcome to my home, I am so glad you're here. I'm so excited my family is here with me and that we're doing this together. And I act as this beacon. I kind of act as the one who's leading the charge for the group of us who are coming to my home. And I set the intention before the day starts of this is going to be an awesome day. No matter what happens, no matter what anybody's going through, this is going to be a miraculous, beautiful day. And so where you went through and kind of, which is smart, have a plan of action, I was like, hey, what do I have in my freezer to put in the stuffing so that the stuffing, you know, and I don't have half the ingredients that it says on the box. And I'm like, well, we'll just do this and it'll be fine. You know, what can I throw into my cranberry sauce that'll make it fun? And I come at it from this really like riffing, almost jazz band sort of way of we're here to have a great time. And no matter what happens, we're going to have a fabulous time, whether you like it or not. And I lead the charge of we're having a great day. And what happens is everybody starts to get on board with me. You know, the turtle's going to be by soon. My little turtle's going to.
Yeah. Well, you know, Rita, you bring up a really good point, and it has to do with our intention. And he's waving. It does have to do with our intention, and especially when it's your space, you set the tone, you set the mood. And what people don't realize is that is a biological chemical reaction in the body. You know, like you talk about, you know, that, well, she walks into the room and right away I get tense. That person is sending you a chemical aroma
smell it. Yeah,
that connects with your.
You can smell it and you're right there.
Absolutely. And it impacts, you know, everybody. We talk about it in self-defense in regard to your instincts and in listening to those emotions that you have. And if someone, you know, gives you that feeling and the hairs in the back of your neck stand up, you know, listen to that. That's a biological reaction to that person and the chemistry that they're sending to you. And so it can be used in this aspect also that When you put that genuine smile on your face, when you set that intention that no matter what happens, we are going to laugh and we are going to love and we're going to be thankful, and you stay focused on that, and every person who walks in the door and you have that smile on your face and you give them that hug, it's genuine and you mean it. And it will impact the emotion that they bring into the room also.
Exactly. And that's one of my favorite ways to, and it's taken me decades to figure that out, of not to be in that reactionary space, but instead to lead the way. And my own mistakes and my own screwing things up and creating things and can't find anything. And now the toilet doesn't work, and, and all of that, it becomes something, that's a memory. Those are the memories that we carry with us, is how are the mistakes that we made, and so after the fact, after we've had this big, 5K run, like you said, then we go and we do something fun. Like, I'm going to the spa with my sister today. We're going out to the King Spa, one of my favorite places. It's actually, I love crazy places, and this has like 12 different saunas. One's shaped like a gold pyramid, one's filled with amethysts. But that's how she's out shopping now. And then this afternoon we're going to go to the spa, because it's the holidays for me are no longer about performing like a trained monkey like I used to think I had to. Now they're about, how do I help create the loving family that I want to have? And that gives me the wherewithal, it gives me the insight to look past people's behavior or their energy to who they really are and what they mean to me, and sitting there thinking, my dad's, any day may die just like any of us. And this may be the last holiday I have with him. Not that there's anything in the works, but I mean, but that's the thought in my mind. This could be the last holiday we all have together. And if this is it, then I'm going to make this a fun time that no matter what happens, we will love each other. And it's funny because I've been doing this now for about 4 or 5 years. And what happens is everybody's now trained. Everybody's now trained to enjoy themselves, to come in, to stay relaxed, to enjoy the food, to be kind to one another. I've trained them because they know they're going to feel good when they come into my home, that them thinking about coming to my house now makes them feel good. It's the same way in my space with my practice. People just thinking that they have an appointment with me brightens their day already. And as I said, it's taken a few years, but when you have that intent and you make it happen, people start to shape to that. And now you can be like, hey, this was a really fun time. This is kind of crazy. Cool. So I wanted to have you on this morning because we've got a class coming up on Thursday, a workshop all about hemp oil and how hemp oil can help you emotionally detox and physically detox and get you back on track and make sure that your Christmas turns out amazing too. So tell me a little bit about the workshop coming up.
Oh, I am so excited about this workshop. So we are going to dig deep into the endocannabinoid system, which, if you don't know what this is, holy smokes, you're gonna your mind is gonna be blown. But we're gonna talk about the inside of the body, the endocannabinoid system, and what CBD is and what it does when it feeds the endocannabinoid system, and what this means for our whole body.
Cool. So, I mean, I love CBD. I love knowing about the endocannabinoid system. For me, that was a nice game changer. It gave me another tool to, not, as I said, blow up somebody's car in the middle of a dramatic holiday session or hide in the bathroom for hours on end. It's something that's a nice tool that helps keep me balanced and come back into homeostasis when I know it's going to be a stressful time.
And that's key. That's exactly what it's about. And In the education and research that I've done, CBD has a lot of impact on anything directly related with the immune system and the nervous system, which is pretty much
Right.
covers just about everything. But especially coming into the holidays, the relationship that CBD and serotonin have, holy smokes, this is like this is really integrated, and they're right down the line with each other. I wrote this note down on CBD directly activates one of the serotonin receptors in our body that has a direct impact on anxiety, addiction, appetite, sleep, pain perception, nausea, and vomiting.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Right. That's just one little piece of what CBD does in the body.
You know what I found was neat is once I started to use, CBD and hemp oil in my life, what I found out was I didn't use anything. I didn't need or use anything on yesterday on Thanksgiving because I'd been building this foundation and getting my building blocks taken care of by making sure that
Mm-hmm.
that that my endocannabinoid system was healthy, that I didn't have to use it as an emergency because I was already in a good spot. I find like if you
Mm-hmm.
start doing it now, if you start doing hemp oil now, then by Christmas, your system should be in a good space so that you just kind of ride the waves of the holiday. And I think that's the cool
Mm-hmm.
thing is when you do small things that invest in you now and nourish you now, then you have the ability to keep the ball rolling. You just like steamroll then through the holiday because you already have the momentum. You're not waiting until the last minute and you're like, oh, my life's gonna end. I better take my hemp oil. Now it's like, oh, I've been taking it for a while, so no, I'm good. It's fine. I'm cool. It's chill, man. You know,
Right.
when
And
you do
that's
that,
that's because right. And that's because stress affects us at a cellular level. And that's a huge thing that people need to remember and acknowledge, that it's affecting your cells. It's not just affecting your emotions, your organs, things like that. It's at a cellular level. And healing truly begins at that cellular level, and that's not something that takes moments
no.
and minutes and hours and days. That's something that takes time, because these stressors in your life that have had a negative impact on your cells have been happening throughout your life, and so it is important to have that action plan and have it start now, to affect you for Christmas, New
Right,
Year's, winter,
right.
spring,
Yes.
and so on. And they're actually, if you look at the research that is being done on CBD, it actually has the ability to affect your cell membrane permeability, and the removal of cellular waste. And they're even saying that it has an impact on your nucleus. That means the potential for DNA repair.
Right, right.
And right, so we're talking about some real deep level
Physical
possibilities here.
healing. Yeah. And when you
Mhm.
get yourself into, I mean, when I have heartburn, I'm not being nice to anybody. When I have gas, are you kidding me? Get out of my way. And so when I get these things taken care of, um, and Dina wants to know if you can just order one bottle at a time to try it. Yes, you can, Dina. So you can try it out now, and work your way up to Christmas. You know, when I get my physical self into a good space, then I can weather all of the emotional issues that happen to me, no matter how big or how small. Because
Mhm.
if my hip hurts, then I can't be the light. I can't lead the charge. I'm incapable of doing that because I'm battling how lousy I feel.
Right.
And so when you get something like this, like the mysterious endocannabinoid system that nobody's been talking about since the 1930s or like ever, when you get that piece
Right.
in place as well, then you've got the resiliency and the tolerance to be that higher version of yourself. Because it's not just a head
Mhm.
game. It's not just you got to do more
Right.
mantras. You just got to think positively. You just got to stop saying negative things. You just got to stop being so hard on yourself. I
Right.
mean, good luck with that. If you don't feel good and you are queasy, too bad. All of those thoughts are rushing in. Everything's coming in
Mhm.
and it's everybody else's fault. And I hate all of you. I mean, that's what happens. And so if you want to have
Mhm.
emotional resiliency, you have to do things like getting hemp oil in the endocannabinoid system back on track, you know?
Right. It's like we're coming into winter and it's gonna get cold and there's gonna be snow, right? So I go outside, I'm gonna, shovel the snow. I start to get cold. So what do? I put my hat and my gloves on. I put my coat on. Depending on how far along I am and being cold, those things aren't going to warm me up. They're going to prevent me from getting colder, but you have to do something beforehand to prevent from getting cold. Put the hat and the gloves and the coat on before you go outside. This is
Yes.
exactly the same thing, is taking care of yourself before you need it.
Yes, especially in as simple, easy ways as you can. If I didn't have the kombucha in my fridge, I wouldn't have been able to take it. So when I went to the store, I picked one up, it was in my fridge, and then we could do the little shots. And now the next day, instead of having a turkey hangover, I'm like, hey, I feel pretty good. Look at this. I don't have any problems. When I fully a lot. I felt like an Oompa Loompa when I was done. Oh, I lost Patty. I'm not quite sure where she went. So, anyways, since Patty is currently gone, not sure why, I am going to wrap up for the day because we've had an amazing conversation. What I want to do is, if you have any other questions about hemp or CBD, we have got a class coming up in McHenry on Thursday, and it'll be Thursday night. And oh, Patty's back. Hey, coming on. We've got a class Thursday night, a workshop with Patty. She's going to come in, be talking about CBD and how hemp oil can really help you physically so that you can handle Christmas, so you can handle the new year, and you can survive this Thanksgiving. So we'll see if we can get Patty on just for a moment at the very end. But I want you to love, like, share, comment on other people's comments. And let's see. Oh, here she goes. Okay. Mm-hmm. She's trying. She's trying. She'll be here any minute. Oh, so we're just going to wrap up for today. Okay, so like, love, share, comment on other people's comments. Come to the class on Thursday. It's in McHenry. If you want to know more details about it, look for the event. I'll make sure that it's posted on my page and timeline. And I think it's at 7 p.m., pretty sure. We'll have the details, and I hope that you can make it. So have a great rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'm going to go hang out at the King Spa. I'll talk to you later, okay? Bye.